low thump of helicopter blades broke the frozen silence as rangers caught their first glimpse. A wild Mustang mare, standing guard over a small, unmoving child half buried in snow. What rescuers found when they finally reached 9-year-old Chloe Adams, after 3 days lost in the deadliest blizzard to hit Valley Forge in decades, was beyond anything they could have imagined. A feral horse, known for avoiding all human contact, had not only protected the girl, but acted with a level of awareness and care that defied everything science had assumed about wild Mustangs. Even seasoned wildlife experts were left stunned, questioning what deeper intelligence or instinct had led this creature to save a human child. What connected this elusive mare, known locally as Silverwind, to a girl she had never met? How did Chloe, with no survival training, endure temperatures that plunged to 20 below zero? And what did search teams discover in that hidden mountain cave that brought battle-hardened rangers to tears? Before we take you back to that unforgettable moment, drop a comment letting us know where you're watching from. And if this story touches your heart, make sure you're subscribed, because tomorrow we're sharing something even more incredible. It began on a golden winter morning in Valley Forge, a mountain town nestled beneath the snowy pines of Pine Ridge. Fresh snow blanketed the ground, turning everything into a serene winter postcard. Inside her grandmother's pickup truck, Chloe pressed her face to the frosted window, watching the snowy landscape drift by. "Are we almost there, Grandma?" she asked, her hazel eyes wide with excitement. Judith Campbell smiled, the lines on her face deepening with warmth. "Just another mile, sweetheart. You can already see the chimney smoke." As they rounded a bend, the old family ranch came into view. White farmhouse, red barn, and 3 generations of memories. The moment the truck stopped, Chloe was out the door, boots crunching in the snow, as a joyful border collie bounded toward her. "Sadie!" she cried, kneeling to greet the dog. "I missed you so much." "She's been waiting by the door since sunrise," Judy said with a chuckle, hauling their bags from the truck. "Somehow, that dog always knows when you're coming." Inside the house, the warmth of the fireplace and the scent of fresh-baked cookies welcomed them. Chloe tossed off her coat and made herself at home like she had every winter since she could walk. "Can I go see the horses after lunch?" she asked, already eyeing the cookie tray. "Sure," Judy replied, "but don't wander too far. They say a storm might hit sooner than expected." Later that day, bundled up against the cold, Chloe headed to the barn. She moved from stall to stall, greeting each horse until she came to her favorite, Buttercup, a wise old Palomino who had carried her on her first ride years ago. "I brought you something," she whispered, offering an apple in her gloved palm. While Buttercup munched happily, Chloe turned her gaze toward the forest beyond the barn. That's when she saw it. Something moving along the tree line. A Mustang. Not a ranch horse, but wild. Its coat shimmered silver in the soft light. It stood silently, watching her. "Grandma said Mustangs have been around lately," Chloe whispered. "I wonder if Mom's been tracking that one." The Mustang's ears perked, as if it heard her from across the snow. For a moment they locked eyes, and Chloe felt it. A strange pull, a quiet connection. And then, just like that, the mare disappeared into the trees. That night, sitting by the fire, Chloe finally told her grandmother. "I saw a Mustang today. She was silver, beautiful." Judy looked up from her knitting. "That sounds like the one folks are calling the mare. Scott Harrison's been causing a fuss about her, says she keeps leading others onto his grazing land." "The guy with the big ranch on the far side of the forest?" Chloe asked. "That's the one. He's been pressuring the government to round up the wild horses, claims they're eating all the grass meant for his cattle." Judy's voice turned cold. "Your mother's been trying to protect them." And with that, something quietly shifted. No one could have known that less than 24 hours later, that same wild Mustang would risk everything to save a child she had never met. "I didn't know Mom was fighting to protect them," Chloe said quietly, her brow furrowed. "She didn't want to worry you," Judy replied gently. "But that silver mare, people around here call her Silverwind. She's different, smart, slippery, Been avoiding capture for years. Chloe stared into the flickering firelight, troubled. Why can't they just leave the Mustangs alone? It's their home too. It's not that simple, sweetheart, Judy said with a sigh. There's land disputes, water rights, grazing permits, a whole mess of politics. But your mom's doing everything she can. Judy gave a reassuring smile. Now it's late. Let's get some rest. That night, as the wind began to howl outside her window, Chloe couldn't sleep. Her thoughts kept drifting back to the silver Mustang. There was something in the way that wild mare had looked at her, untamed, but almost knowing. Like the horse had seen something in Chloe that even she didn't understand yet. By morning, the skies had turned a heavy gray, thick with the promise of snow. The storm, it turned out, was arriving much sooner and much fiercer than expected. Judy paced the kitchen with a phone pressed to her ear, her voice tight with concern. Catherine, I think you and Benjamin should wait until the storm passes. The roads are already bad. Please promise me you'll turn back if it gets worse. She hung up with a sigh, only to find Chloe standing behind her. Your parents are still coming, Judy said, softening her voice. But they might be a little later than planned. This storm's picking up fast. Can I go outside before it gets bad? Chloe asked. Just to the barn? Judy hesitated, then nodded. Only to the barn. I'll be outside too, securing the property. Be back inside in 30 minutes. With Sadie trotting at her side, Chloe stepped out into the thickening snowfall. The sky was darker now, and wide flakes drifted down like feathers. She checked the horses, making sure each one was warm and calm. As she finished, she noticed Sadie frozen at the barn door, ears perked, gaze locked on the forest. What is it, girl? Chloe whispered, walking to join her. And there, right where the trees met the open snow, stood Silverwind. But this time, the Mustang wasn't alone. A young colt stood beside her, his coat a deeper gray, almost charcoal. Both looked tense, their bodies shifting nervously, hooves skimming the snow. The mare kept glancing back into the woods, torn between staying and leaving. Then suddenly the colt bolted, vanishing into the trees. Silverwind let out a desperate whinny that echoed across the clearing. Without thinking, Chloe stepped out of the barn. Chloe, time to come in! Judy's voice floated faintly from the house, nearly drowned by the growing wind. I'll be right there, Chloe called back, her eyes never leaving the forest. The mare had disappeared. The colt was somewhere out there, alone. Sadie whimpered beside her, sensing her hesitation. We'll just take a quick look, Sadie, Chloe whispered, just to make sure they're okay. She knew what her grandmother would say, but something deep inside her pulled her toward the trees, worry for the colt, fascination with the mare, or something more, something unspoken. Stay here, Sadie. Go back to Grandma. Chloe pointed toward the house, and after a moment of hesitation, the loyal collie turned and trotted off. Chloe took a deep breath and stepped into the forest. The snow was falling harder now. The wind had picked up, howling through the branches like a warning. She told herself she'd only go a little ways, just enough to check on the horses. Then she'd turn back. But as she moved beneath the trees, the sounds of the world changed. Everything grew muffled. The air was filled with snow and silence. She followed fresh hoofprints in the powder, the only sign that something, or someone, had been here recently. Hello? She called softly. Where are you? Only the wind answered. She kept walking, tracing the trail deeper into the woods, losing track of time as the storm intensified. Finally, she paused, heart pounding, breath short. That's when it hit her. Two terrifying truths. She didn't know how far she had come, and she couldn't see the way back. The snow was falling so thick now she could barely see 5 feet in front of her. Every direction looked the same. Trees, white and more white. Grandma, she called. Sadie? No answer. Just the wind, whistling through the trees like a ghost. Chloe hugged herself, fighting the panic rising in her chest. She needed shelter. She needed to stay warm. Her grandmother would come looking. She just had to stay alive until then. but the cold was creeping in fast, seeping through her jacket, numbing her fingers and toes. The light was fading, her hope with it. "Help!" she cried. "Please! Someone!" Then movement, a large shape cutting through the wall of snow. For one brief second, her heart lifted. She wasn't alone. At first, Chloe thought it was her grandmother, finally finding her through the blinding whiteout. But as the shape came into focus, her breath hitched. It wasn't a person. It was her, the silver mare. Just 20 feet away, standing like a ghost pulled from the storm itself. Snow clung to her mane and lashes, but her eyes, those steady, intelligent eyes, locked onto Chloe's with a focus that rooted the girl in place. This was a wild animal, unpredictable, powerful, but Chloe didn't run. "I'm lost," she whispered, her voice trembling, breath fogging the frozen air. "I was looking for you, and your baby." The mare exhaled sharply, a cloud of steam rising from her nostrils. She pawed the snow once, then took a step closer. Chloe stayed perfectly still. The mare paused just a few feet away, her breath warm and rhythmic. Then she looked back, toward the forest, then back at Chloe, again and again. A silent signal. "You want me to follow you?" Chloe asked, almost laughing at the impossibility of it all. The mare took a few more steps, pausing to glance back once more, and in that moment, Chloe made a decision. "Okay," she whispered. "Lead the way." With snow swirling around them like a curtain of white, Chloe followed the silver mare into the forest. She had no idea that back at the ranch, her grandmother had just discovered her absence, and the first frantic calls to emergency services had already gone out. By morning, Valley Forge would launch the largest search operation in the town's history. But would it be enough? If this story is touching your heart, don't forget to subscribe. We've poured our soul into telling it, and we've got more chapters ahead that you won't want to miss. Now, back to the blizzard. All night, the storm battered Pine Ridge like a living force, twisting the familiar forest into a frozen maze. Inside the ranger station, veteran tracker Walter Bishop stared at the map, red pins marking every search zone. "This is the worst storm I've seen in 20 years, he muttered, his voice grim. Lucia Ramirez adjusted her headset. "Forecast says it won't clear till tomorrow afternoon, at the earliest." Just then, the door slammed open. Officer Jake Matthews entered, snow whipping in behind him. He stomped his boots, shaking off ice. "Any update from the Eastern Quadrant?" Walter asked. "Nothing yet," Jake said, removing his cap. "We've got 4 teams out, but they can't go more than a half-mile in these conditions." "And the grandmother?" Lucia asked, pinning another marker to the map. "She's holding up, but she's shaken. Blames herself for not watching more closely," Jake said. "The parents just arrived too, nearly crashed twice getting through the pass. They're at the house now." Walter's radio crackled. "Bishop, do you copy? This is Fletcher. Go ahead, Travis. We found tracks heading east from the Campbell property. Small boot prints, looks like a child, but they fade fast under the snowfall." Walter exchanged a look with Lucia. "It's something." "There's more," Fletcher continued. "We're seeing larger prints alongside, horse tracks, but they're different, not from a ranch horse. I think it's a Mustang." Silence filled the room. Then Walter spoke. "Mark the location. Return to base. It's too dangerous to keep going in the dark. First light, we focus east. If she followed a Mustang." He didn't have to finish. Everyone in the room understood. A child, alone in a freezing wilderness, chasing a wild horse. It didn't add up to a happy ending. "I'll let the family know," Jake said quietly. "They should prepare for a long wait once the storm clears." But out in the woods, something was already happening. Something no one expected. In a small cave, carved into the side of a rocky outcrop, Chloe huddled against the cold stone. Her clothes were damp, her fingers numb, the warmth of her winter gear fading fast. But she had shelter, and she wasn't alone. At the cave entrance stood Silverwind, her body braced against the wind, blocking the snow from reaching the girl inside. Chloe didn't need to guess anymore. The mare had brought her here on purpose. Twice during their harrowing journey through the storm, Chloe had collapsed, too tired to go on, and each time Silverwind had circled back, nudging her forward, pushing her to keep going. "Thank you," Chloe whispered through chattering teeth. "Are you looking for your baby too?" The mare twitched her ears at the sound of the girl's voice but didn't move. She kept watch, silent, still. And Chloe, though exhausted, afraid, and completely alone, felt something she hadn't felt since the storm began: hope. But strangely, the silver mare's presence didn't scare Chloe. It comforted her. "My grandma's going to be so worried," she whispered, speaking just to stay awake. "And Mom and Dad, they were supposed to come today." She pictured her mother, Catherine Adams, a wildlife veterinarian who'd spent years protecting the wild horses of Pine Ridge. Her father, Benjamin, had grown up on a ranch before dedicating his life to land conservation. They'd both taught her to respect wild animals, not to tame them, not to fear them, but to understand them. Never in her wildest dreams did she imagine she'd be curled up in a cave, beside one of the very mustangs her mother had fought to save. But the cold was winning. Her survival instincts kicked in. She scanned the cave for anything that might help, and spotted a scattering of dry leaves and pine needles, blown in by the wind. With shaking hands, she pulled them into a pile, forming a rough barrier between her body and the frozen stone. The silver mare watched her the whole time, not moving, just watching. When Chloe finally collapsed onto the leaf bed, curling into herself to conserve warmth, she felt the weight of exhaustion closing in. Her eyelids grew heavy. "Don't sleep," she murmured to herself. "Stay awake, you have to stay awake." Then a sound, a shift in the air. The mare had moved. Now she stood right over Chloe. And before the girl could react, the horse did something no one would believe. She slowly lowered herself to the ground, carefully curling her body around the freezing child. Chloe held her breath. The warmth radiating from the Mustang's massive frame began to seep into her frozen limbs. Her shivering slowed. Her fingers, once numb, started to tingle. "You're keeping me warm," she whispered in disbelief. "But why? Why are you helping me?" The mare didn't answer, of course, but she shifted slightly closer as if to say, "You're not alone anymore." Outside, the wind screamed against the rocks, but inside the cave, something sacred had formed, a fragile, wordless alliance between two souls who should have never met. Back at Judy Campbell's ranch, panic gripped the house. Catherine Adams paced the living room, her face pale with dread. "How could this happen?" she asked for the 100th time. "She knows not to wander off, not in weather like this." Benjamin sat silently at the table, a map spread in front of him. The red markers blurred together. "The Rangers are doing everything they can, Kate, but in this storm—" "Don't say it," Catherine snapped. "Don't you dare say it. She's alive. Our daughter is out there, and we will find her." Judy stood by the window, watching the snow hammer her land. Sadie, the family's border collie, lay at her feet, whimpering every few minutes as if she felt what they couldn't see. "She was heading toward the barn," Judy said quietly. "That's the last time I saw her. Sadie came back alone. That's not like her." "She never leaves Chloe's side," Catherine murmured, joining her mother at the window. "And the Rangers found tracks," Judy added. "They were headed east, into Mustang territory." Benjamin's head shot up. "The Mustangs? You don't think—" "Travis said there were horse tracks alongside Chloe's," Judy confirmed. "Not a ranch horse. Unshod. Wild." Catherine's face changed. Not quite hope, but something close. Something ancient. "Silverwind," she whispered. "Chloe told me she saw her yesterday." Benjamin shook his head gently. "A wild Mustang wouldn't help a child, Kate. You know better than anyone. They avoid humans." "Silverwind is different," Catherine said softly. "In all my years studying the herd, I've never seen anything like her. The way she moves, the way she watches." She paused. "There's something else." Judy turned toward her. "What is it?" "Last spring, I was tracking the herd. I found Silverwind, separated from the others. She was in labor, but something was wrong. The foal was breech." She was in distress. Benjamin stood, startled. "You never told me this." "I didn't tell anyone," Catherine admitted. I broke every rule in the book. I interfered. I helped deliver her foal. She was too weak to run, too exhausted to stop me. And she hesitated. I touched her. I helped her. The foal survived, Judy said slowly. Arrow, Catherine nodded. That's what I called him in my notes. A dark gray colt. I've kept my distance ever since. Watched them from afar. But sometimes, when I'm out there, Silverwind looks straight at me. Not with fear, with something else. Recognition? Judy whispered. Maybe, Catherine said. The room fell into a heavy silence, broken only by the wind. You think she recognized Chloe? Benjamin asked quietly. As your daughter? I don't know, Catherine whispered. But animals have senses we can't explain. And if Chloe is with Silverwind, then she has a chance. Judy's voice cracked. Then that horse might be the only thing keeping her alive. Just then, a knock shattered the stillness. Benjamin opened the door. Officer Jake Matthews stood outside, his uniform coated in snow. Any news? Catherine asked, her voice sharp. Jake shook his head. Search teams had to turn back. Visibility's almost zero. It's too dangerous to continue until morning. Morning? Catherine gasped. That's 9 hours away. Jake looked down. I know, but I promise. We'll be ready at first light. I understand how you feel, Jake said gently. But sending more teams out now would just put lives at risk. Wind chills already dropped to 15 below. Zero visibility. So we just sit here and wait? Benjamin demanded, voice raw with frustration. We prepare, Jake corrected. Ranger Bishop asked me to gather any intel you might have on the Mustang herd, especially the silver mare your mother-in-law mentioned. Migration patterns, territory data, anything that might help us narrow the search at first light. Catherine took a steadying breath, fighting to pull herself together. My tracking maps and research files are in the car. I'll get them. As she moved toward the door, Judy reached out and gently stopped her. Kate, there's something you need to know. Catherine turned. I saw Scott Harrison yesterday at the general store. He was talking about setting traps for the Mustangs, said he was tired of waiting for the BLM to step in. Catherine froze. What kind of traps? Not lethal, but in this weather. They both understood. If Chloe was still out there, with Silverwind, she might not be the only one in danger. Meanwhile, deep in the forest cave, Chloe had slipped into a restless sleep. The warmth of the silver mare beside her was the only thing keeping her alive. In her dreams, she was home, wrapped in her parents' arms, the scent of her grandmother's cookies in the air, the cold far, far away. But something stirred. She awoke suddenly, disoriented. Silverwind was no longer lying beside her. She was standing, ears pricked, every muscle alert. A low rumble echoed from the mare's chest. Not a whinny, a warning. What is it? Chloe whispered. The mare stepped to the cave's entrance, her posture stiff and defensive. The wind had calmed slightly, allowing thin light to cut through the swirling snow outside. Chloe crept beside her. At first, she saw only shadows, then movement. Figures low to the ground, silent, swift. 1, 2, 3. Her breath caught. Wolves. Silverwind shifted her body between Chloe and the threat, planting her hooves firmly, ready to defend. One of the wolves crept closer. Silverwind struck without hesitation, hooves slashing through the air. The wolf barely dodged, retreating a few feet but not giving up. They won't leave, Chloe said, her voice cracking with fear. We're trapped. The mare glanced at her, then nudged her backward, deeper into the cave. Chloe understood. She wanted her to hide, to stay out of reach, but leaving Silverwind to face the wolves alone? I'm not leaving you, Chloe said, standing firm. We scare them off, together. A memory flickered, something her dad had taught her during a camping trip. Predators fear fire. Chloe dropped to her knees, frantically searching her coat. Her mom had insisted she always carry an emergency kit. Her numb fingers closed around a small waterproof container in her inside pocket. Matches. She grabbed them and started piling dry leaves and twigs near the cave entrance. The first match fizzled. The second barely sparked. Outside, the wolves were growing bolder. One lunged, teeth bared, snapping at Silverwind's legs. The mare responded with a vicious kick, sending the animal tumbling into the snow. "Please," Chloe begged the wind, the world, the fire gods, striking the third match. This time it held. She touched it to the driest leaves and they ignited. A flame flared up, small but steady. She added more fuel until a fire blazed, casting flickering light into the cave. Heart pounding, Chloe grabbed a burning stick and stepped forward. She stood beside Silverwind, torch in hand, a girl and a wild mustang facing a pack of wolves. The wolves hesitated. Firelight danced across their eyes. Their hunger battled with fear, and fear won. One by one, the wolves slunk back into the trees, swallowed by the snow. Chloe collapsed to her knees, trembling, relief, fear, adrenaline all colliding at once. Silverwind turned, gently nudging her shoulder, as if to say, "You did good." "We did it," Chloe whispered, wrapping her arms around the mare's neck. And, to her surprise, Silverwind didn't pull away. The fire wouldn't last forever, but for now it gave them warmth, safety, a fragile circle of light in a vast frozen world. Chloe lay back down, exhausted, heart full, and once again Silverwind curled beside her. In the heart of a blizzard where no one was supposed to survive, a wild mustang and a little girl had become something more than companions. They had become a team, a deadly blizzard, a lost child, and a wild mustang that no one thought could care. When 9-year-old Chloe Adams vanished during the worst snowstorm in decades, no one expected her to survive the night. But deep in the forest, something extraordinary was happening. Sheltered in a cave, Chloe found warmth not from a fire, but from the body of a wild mare named Silverwind. This untamed horse had found her, stayed with her, and even defended her from wolves. It was a bond no one could explain. As the rescue team searched through freezing winds and whiteout conditions, Chloe and the mare became silent allies, survivors together in a hostile world. By morning, Silverwind led her to food, fresh water, and, unbelievably, her missing foal, Arrow, trapped in one of the rancher's cages. Chloe freed him, but just as the reunited Mustang family prepared to leave, they were spotted by Scott Harrison, the rancher who had set the traps and long fought against wild horses. To his shock, he realized what Chloe said was true. The mare had protected her, and suddenly, everything changed. Harrison pulled up his traps. The rescue made national headlines, and for the first time, the people of Valley Forge began to see the Mustangs not as pests, but as something worthy of protection. Chloe's bond with Silverwind sparked a conservation movement. With the help of her mother, a wildlife vet, Chloe helped secure protected corridors for the Mustangs, inspired policy change, and even became a junior ambassador for Mustang education. 1 year later, as a camera crew filmed the herd for a documentary, Silverwind did the unthinkable. She approached the observers and introduced her new foal, a wild Mustang, showing off her child to the humans she trusted. That single moment captured hearts across the country. For Chloe, it was never just about survival. It was about connection. A connection that changed her life, changed her town, and maybe, just maybe, is changing how we see the wild world itself. If this story moved you, subscribe, because the next chapter is already unfolding.